Hi Barry, thanks for having us up to Huntingdon today. We are up at Meridian HQ, as I say, in Huntingdon, not too far from Cambridge. We had a Meridian stroke DBM stroke Barco day. We'll get on to the distributed by Meridian and the Barco, even though we've got the video up with at Barco in Belgium, which pretty much covers everything Barco. Majority of people watching this will know Meridian, but just explain who Barry is and who Meridian are.
Yeah, cool. Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming to see us. These open weeks are great for us because it gives people a chance to come and visit when it's appropriate, when it's suitable. Open days are quite limiting. Businesses have to run and businesses have to look after their clients. So we do these weeks so that people can drop in on a day and a time that suits them rather than when suits me. So we basically listened to our customers and made that decision from there. But yeah, so I guess for me, I've been doing audio, video in one guise or another since about 2000. So quite a long time now when I think about it. Started in tech support and learned how products worked, helped out integrators at the time back in the early 2000s, troubleshoot, get systems set up, get calibrated, and then transition from there into sales. Started to go out on the road with a phone, visit people and say, these are good, would you like some of these? And then just really grew from there. I've always been really fascinated with the manufacturing side of things. So the made in Britain connection for me is, really important. It's something we're really proud of, something we get to show off. Like, it's unusual that you have a facility like this where you can see things from component level into fully finished and tested PCBs. So yeah, Meridian's always been, a fascinating brand for me. And as a business, Meridian's been around almost 50 years. So started in 1977. The first products were active loudspeakers, so already a massive shift to how everyone else was doing loudspeakers at the time. And I think the approach that Meridian takes to audio is what really separates us out, and that's also why other OEMs from around the world trust Meridian to deliver audio into their sphere as well. So we just look at things differently. We've done quite a lot of presentational stuff today, try and make it educational, not just like, have a listen to this, have a listen to that. Here's why we did this, here's why we do that. And so by understanding psychoacoustics and how human beings hear things, it means you develop your products in a different way to deliver something which we really like to listen to. Not we as in Meridian, but we as in mankind. And I think that approach is really different. And so, yeah, yes, we're a manufacturer. Yes, we're also a licensing and consultancy business that we offer to large OEMs from around the world.
Well, I think what's always, it's been a few years since I've been up here, but it's very similar still, apart from a few bits and pieces. I think the last time I was up here, Sulus was a product that you did.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And you had a
blimey.
massive touchscreen in the foyer where you came in and touched and picked your album artwork and that. But I think in a similar way that when I was at Barco recently, when you go out the back here, or out the front technically, or to the side, and you go to the factory, you see behind the doors of Meridian, and yeah, you see the guys who are sitting there doing the circuit boards. They're going through, checking them, they're testing them, and then you see all the carcasses come in for the raw carcasses and the painted carcasses, and then you go up the back and the guys are testing them, and it's just that. And I think I said in the tour, you really do go to the whole made in Britain, as in like everything is pretty much as it can be made in Britain.
Yeah, it's hugely. I'm really proud of that, and I love the fact that we do that. I think it's just cool to be able to see that. And I see, if integrators bring up clients, there's a real difference when people go, that they're going to build my product. Yeah, those guys that you had a chat with, and you saw what they were doing, they'll build yours. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't exist until you sign off on a PO for your system to the dealer, and then our factory will schedule a build. Like, that's how it works. Yeah. It won't be off the shelf. We'll make it. What color would you like? And that's like, oh, okay. That's a huge shift because it's not a consumer electronics brand in that sense. It's a custom brand, and it's built by hand for you when you order it. And I think that's super cool that we can still do that here. The cabinet's made in the UK, all the PCBs are made here, almost all of our metalwork is UK sourced. It's a really UK centric business, and A lot of clients really appreciate, understand, respect, love, enjoy the fact that their products are hand built, and they're not built in batches, they're built to order, and they're built by people. Every single product, as you saw, every single PCB is tested, every single assembled product is tested. Then it's production tested, which means it measures as it should do. You heard them listening to the
Yeah.
speakers, right? They're listened to before they get packed up, and they're measured to make sure they measure as they should do. Then there's a final vision inspection, then they're packed up, then they go on to the project. And I just think that's super cool.
Well, it was like when we went up. What was the gentleman's name at the back who was not the guy in the testing room, but the guy who was out where we took the sheath off the speaker?
Oh yeah, Darren, yeah.
Darren. It's like there was that big set of speakers there, and you sort of lifted the top off, and it was just this metallic sort of like
Yeah.
pearlescent, almost blue.
Yeah.
And it was just like when you looked at it, it was. I mean, I know I analogize our industry quite a lot with cars, and we're both car lovers, freaks, you might say. But it was literally like that flickery effect that you get on a car, and it was just beautiful. And that was just the carcass. That was just the carcass with the paint. So the client can spec within reason any paint.
Yeah, almost not within reason. We'll do unreasonable things.
Yeah. So you could, if they have a relationship with, I know you had a relationship or have a relationship with McLaren, they buy an orange McLaren, then you can do them in the same colour, basically.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the paint colours are locked by the manufacturer, but most of the time our painters are able to get to that. And it's a supercar level of paint finish. You know, it's that level of paint finish. Tells you what you need to know. Like, yes, we can get most of the supercar paint finishes all very close to that if the colour's locked as well. But it's about being able to personalise and customise things. And that doesn't mean, oh yeah, of course you can customise the flagship speaker. No, you can customise our smallest bookshelf speaker. We'll do custom paint finish on a £5,000-6,000 pair of loudspeakers for you happily. What colour would you like? That's the most customed product we sell is the 3200, the little bookshelf. Almost no one orders that in black, which is the standard finish. Yeah.
And I have to say, actually, I had a set of those for a while, for a few years, until we moved house, or actually moved office. And they were phenomenal. You know, I mean, okay, I know we've gone right the way up to the top end today, but, you know, for a smallish set of bookshelves that are a nice piece of furniture, whether they are on a shelf or on a set of stands, they are bloody good sounding speakers.
I have that iconic look, and they sound fantastic. I mean, I have a pair in my kitchen. They're the most listened to speakers at home. We have 4 Meridian systems at home and 1 TPI system. You know, you can't sell things and then not buy it yourself. I think it's kind of, for me, you know, it proves like I would buy this with my own money. I might not be able to afford most of the things that I sell, but that's fine. I like ambition. I like the thought that one day I might be able to. So yeah, 3200s I have in the kitchen, and they get listened to more than any other loudspeaker in the house. They're fabulous. Yeah.
So when it comes to the range, explain the range to me. I mean, obviously there's the in-room, on-floor shelf speakers, and then you've got the in-wall like we've got in the cinema, we've got in here. So tell me a little bit about the range that Meridian offer.
Yeah, so the range they're all called DSP something, and the DSP stands for digital signal processing. So in speaker land, you have passive speakers, active speakers, digital active, and then DSP active. We first made our first DSP active loudspeaker in about 94, that sort of period of time. So the difference is there, you feed digital audio into the speaker, so there's no chance of picking up noise or losses along the way. So that's the purest feed into the speaker. And then inside the speaker, you've got a digital signal processor. We call it a command board. It's basically the brain inside the speaker. And that's where our engineers can apply the crossovers, the relative gains, the timing delays that we might want to add or otherwise into the system. And then that goes converted to analog into the power amplifiers. So with us, if you've got a drive unit, there's an amplifier that drives it. So a 2 drive unit speaker will have 2 amps, a 5 will have 5 amps. So each drive unit has its own amplifier, and our engineering team has decided what signal gets sent to them, at what volume, at what time. And the time is the most important thing, because we get obsessed with frequency response. How low does it go? How high can it play? How loud can it play? That don't matter.
Well, you were talking when we were in the room earlier, when we were in the hi-fi room, you were sort of talking about how, you know, the different sounds would come at you at sort of an angle, but within the
Yeah,
speaker, it re-levels it. So fundamentally, the sound from each of the individual elements
that's right.
hit your head at the same time. And actually, you do some quite cool stuff where you were putting 3 speakers on the wall, for instance, but rather than all
Yeah,
3 of them playing the same sounds, they were sort of assisting each other just to go louder
yeah, boost the
and
SPL.
clearer.
Yeah.
Well, not clearer because it was clear right down to right high, but just to give you that more oomph for those bigger spaces.
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's two different unique technologies we've created. So in a loudspeaker, if you've got an 8-inch woofer and a 25 millimeter dome, and you put a voltage into both those drive units at the same time, the dome will move faster because it's smaller and lighter. The woofer will take time to move. In a loudspeaker, that creates a delay between bass, mid, and high frequency. So that shape you did with your hand is exactly that. The high frequency lead first, then the mid, then the bass. The lower the bass, the slower that is. And that's called group delay. Everyone really knows about that if they're a speaker designer. So some speakers might be angled back a bit to try and correct some of the group delay at higher frequencies. But when your speakers can play down to 40 hertz, 30 hertz, 20 hertz or below, the group delay can be significant. So in a DSP loudspeaker, what you can do is you can delay the mid and high frequency signal being sent to the amplifier to match the delay of the woofer. So all of the audio leaves the speaker at the same time. And so that's why we say that timing is more important than frequency, because in the real world, when we hear real instruments, they're perfectly in time. A kick drum and a snare and a hi-hat, they're all played at the same time. The noise of a finger on a bass string and the bass note leave the bass guitar or the double bass at the same time. So if a speaker can mimic that real life, it sounds, as you witnessed, more natural, more lifelike, more real, more authentic, more immersive. So those are the types of things that you can do with, a DSP loudspeaker that you couldn't do, for example, without that finite control of the woofer and the mid and the high frequency. And then, yeah, using 3 speakers to be louder. Of course, yeah, you put 3 together, they're louder. They are, but they interact with each other. And now they'll negatively interact with each other and basically create peaks and dips in audio called comb filtering. So sometimes it'll sound like this, and other times it'll sound really open. You can't have that. So what our engineering team did was they created our high power array processing, which is patented technology. So when I say our engineers, these are people with doctorates in audio engineering who present on the AES board, the Audio Engineering Society. So these are people that are quite good and quite knowledgeable about audio. So they created 2 different profiles for speakers in close proximity. So we have primary and secondary speakers, which means that the outer pair play different signal to the inner speaker, which means that they, rather than constructively interfere with each other, they can constructively boost the SPL. So 3 speakers, 9 dB more output. So we go from, 115 dB, 117 dB at a meter to about 125 dB at a meter.
Let's say 100, so an extra 9 dB or an
Yeah.
extra 9 doesn't sound a lot, but
Basically double.
it's a lot. Yeah.
And that's still, as you saw, within 10 centimeter installation depth. We don't need any more equipment in the rack. We can do all of it just in more speakers. So as long as the client has funds available to to do this, then we can use 3 speakers for left, 3 speakers for center, 3 speakers for right, have super high SPL, but we'll still have the fidelity that we expect from a Meridian loudspeaker because we're still using the same drive units. So we still have that high frequency detail, we'll still keep all that timing resolution, we'll still have all that bass impact and that mid-range vocal clarity. All of those things are still intact, we just have another 9 dB to play with.
So what I loved about that, the talk you were giving when it was that you had this problem and then you came up with a solution of doing what you did in respect to the 3 speakers. And it didn't work. It didn't sound great.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, it's not going to work. I'm not sure. And then the engineering guys went, give us 48 hours. And then 48 hours, they came back with a solution. And that's what I think I love about Meridian, and I love about companies like Meridian, where it's almost like you almost get the sense that, it's not just a machine that is just turning.
No.
There is a lot of, for want of a better word, there's a lot of geeks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of, exploratory fun in finding out solutions or pushing boundaries, or supplying clients with stuff that let's face it, Meridian's not, it's not cheap, it's not massively expensive, it can be, but it's an investment that someone will buy, like a piece of furniture, especially obviously the in-room ones, and they will sit them in front of their windows with the picture we had out in the hallway there with the
Looking out over
World
Manhattan.
Trade
Yeah.
in the back, and there's a beautiful set of Meridian speakers sitting there. So when it comes to the floor standing range, and then when it comes to the in-wall cinema range, how are they fundamentally different? Obviously, apart from one sits on the floor and one goes in the wall.
Interestingly, they're not fundamentally different.
That's what I'm hoping you were going to say.
Yeah, because the loudspeaker design and the principle is the same. What's different is you're more limited with positioning with an in-wall, because it goes in the wall. So with an in-room speaker, you can move it away from a wall, closer to a wall. You can change its toe relative. So you've got a lot more positional opportunities with that loudspeaker. It has drawbacks. Obviously, it's big visually, so you need to disguise that or make it as a statement piece. So different colors, different size models that we have for different outputs, larger scale rooms. But inherently, what we're doing is we're making really, really inert cabinets. So the box should not be heard. You saw in the in-wall speakers, the bass drivers have a completely different internal cabinet to the mid and high frequency drivers, because we don't want those to interact. Do exactly the same in the in-room speakers too. We look at an Ellipse, for example, really compact, less than 3 kilo small loudspeaker. It does not resonate, it does not rattle. However much you want to play it and however loud you want to play it, it will not do those things, because it's not a musical instrument. It's recreating any musical instrument, from an organ to a triangle to a cello to a viola. If you can hear the box, we haven't done a good job.
Yeah.
You pay a lot of money for a really expensive box that you do not hear, which sounds counterintuitive, but that's exactly what you want. You want to hear the drive units, and that's it. So if we've done a good job, which we have, then you won't ever hear those boxes. They will be purposeful. In case of the Ellipse or 8000 XE, that's a statement piece, or it's subtle, it more fits in with the decor. If it's in an in-wall loudspeaker, it's hidden behind fabric, it's behind a screen, it's got a grill on the front of it. But the inertness of the enclosures, the bitumen we put inside the in-wall loudspeakers, the extra dampening and bracing we put on the large aluminium baffles on the front, they're all designed to make the cabinet acoustically invisible.
Yeah, and they are, and then whether it's, we picked up one of the smaller speakers in the factory, which was bare wood.
Oh, that was a 8000 head.
That was 8,000
Yeah.
head, wasn't it? And that, I didn't pick it up, but that looked heavy.
Yeah.
And I've fitted Meridian speakers, including your lovely ceiling speakers, and they do feel. I suppose I always say it's a little bit like a watch. They have a good quality feel to them. They have a reassuring feel, knowing that the value and the quality is there.
Yeah, we don't make them heavy because it's funny, or because we want to see you guys working out, or otherwise. We make them the weight that they are, because that's how much mass they need in order to have resonance control within the box. So it's like, well, that's just how heavy it is. And yeah, a 320 holding it up above your head height. Yeah, you might have had some Weetabix in the morning.
When you've done 14 of them in one
day.
Yeah, you're very tired.
You're there doing your curls at the moment. Yeah. You should be doing shoulder press.
I might do that. I'll do that in the. Give me a couple of those, and I'll do let's do shoulder presses through February, and I'll do those with the in ceilings.
Shoulders like the Rock. Yeah.
So when we go to the range of, let's say, floor standing, we start off with the DSP 320s. Wasn't it?
3200s.
Sorry, 3200s, my mistake. And then we go up to the
5200s, which, like we saw those today, they're connected to our new UHD 1-to-1, so that's our eARC device. So basically, that means that you can connect a television to any of our loudspeakers. You don't need anything else, you just need a little box. Fits on the back of the TV, it's powered by the speakers, TV remote or the Sky remote or the Apple TV remote, turns the system on, turns the speakers up and down. Super simple, like really nice solution. So in reception, we've got that connected into a pair of 5200s. At the moment, we've got like a California Sage metallic green, which is the James Bond Aston Martin DB5
Yes.
color, which looks lovely. So that's yeah, you get a bass driver, a mid bass, and then a tweeter. So bigger cabinet, more amplifiers. You get 3 amps, three drive units. So that just has more sense of scale. That's the key difference between going from a 3200 to a 5200. You just have a bigger sense of scale. Dedicated tweeters, you get a bit more detail in the high frequencies as well. And then we go from the 5200s to the 7200s, which again, bigger.
Yeah.
So 2 woofers, dedicated mid-range, and a tweeter. Yeah, and it's again just designed for more scale. So it plays about 10-15 hertz lower, a couple of dB more output. But really that dedicated mid-range driver really opens up the soundstage. So you just start to notice more details, more sense of space. There's nothing wrong with any of the speakers below there, but as you spend more money, you really do start to feel that quality of the experience does improve. And it should do, right? If you're spending more money, there should be a discernible difference. Sometimes people buy with their eyes. They buy the big one just because it looks cool.
Yeah.
And that's totally cool. I'm happy with that. I'm sure that most integrators
Yeah.
will be happy with that as well. But the range really has scale. So when we move up from 7200s to DSP9s, you know, that is one of the very best speakers, my opinion,
Yeah.
that you can get. It's people listen to that speaker and they're gobsmacked that you've got almost a kilowatt of power and the cone area of a single 16-inch woofer in a slim tower that looks really sexy. It's so sexy it won a Red Dot Design Award.
Okay.
There's not very many products that
No.
win a Red Dot Design Award. It's won a London Design Award. It's a really beautiful loudspeaker, curvaceous, but ridiculous performance. You know, we did the demo earlier. I saw you laughing in the back when we played the organ from the Royal Albert Hall.
It's just the bass and just well, I think what I've always, I mean, I can remember with one of my previous trips here, I was listening to Gregory Porter, and I've always said I've never heard Gregory Porter sound good apart from live.
Yeah.
Because the staging you get from a Meridian speaker is you do hear the brushes of across the drum in the background, the triangle going off, and it does tend to, especially when you get up to later the DSP9, you start to, that becomes even more alive in your ear, and it almost replicates the original sounding of the music.
Yeah, it's just that resolving power. So there's 2 things. 1, don't add anything.
Yeah.
It's really important. And 2, make sure it's timed right. So if you can maintain the original timing accuracy of the recording in the first place, you will hear those things. You will be able to resolve those things. You know, many is the time that a dealer will bring a client and they'll say, I won't be able to hear the difference. Because why? Because I'm old, or because I've deafened myself at various concerts and you have to speak up when I talk. Doesn't matter. If your hearing range is reduced so you can't hear above 8K, 10K, who cares?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. What you can absolutely resolve at any point in your life when you have hearing is timing information. And if the timing information is preserved, the music comes to life. The room comes to life. You hear the room. Now, actually, with the new speakers, we haven't made any more high frequency information. We have the same bandwidth we had for probably 10 years or more. Where we've really gone into the new DSP platforms really have allowed us to dig much lower into lower end bass. Minus 3 dB of 20 hertz and 18 hertz of our biggest loudspeakers is ridiculous for a floor standing loudspeaker. Doesn't matter if you've lost some high frequency hearing, you'll definitely be able to hear and feel, that low frequency information. As you saw, when we remove that low frequency information, the room and the scale of the system sounds different.
Yeah.
It sounds smaller. So even if you do have recessed hearing at high frequencies, not a problem at all. The whole thing comes to life when you've just got all of the timing accuracy there in the first place. And that's one of the things that we're like absolutely obsessed with, is maintaining that timing accuracy.
So when we look at the in-wall models, I mean, obviously you would be remiss to go, oh, well, the in-room floor standards, they're great for a 2-channel system or a hi-fi system or a 2-channel system either side of a TV. But when we go to the room upstairs, you are using those in them along with the in-wall speakers. So from a hi-fi point of view, obviously it's relatively simple to implement a set of Meridian speakers into the house. What would be the typical type of, so if you, because obviously the amplification is built into the speakers,
Yeah.
and the speakers are wired together by a cable, aren't they?
Yeah, RJ45
and then plugged
power.
into the walls.
Yep.
And then you generally have a room controller for each room, which then gives you access to some of the on-demand services, streaming service, or to connection to Roon. When it comes to the cinema systems and you're dealing with multi-channel, the speakers themselves, can you mix and match them in the room? So you could do, I know, if you've got a big enough baffle or wall, you could put some floor standers behind the wall with some in walls and some in ceilings, or you could just do the whole room in wall, in ceiling.
Yes, yeah, is the short version.
Yeah.
We don't make cinema speakers, we don't make hi-fi speakers, we make loudspeakers. They should be able to do both.
End the podcast.
They should be able to do both. There's not a difference from our perspective. So there are hybrid systems. Our distributor in the US, Ryan, has got a pair of DSP 8000s either side of his screen.
Yeah.
So it looks cool. And he's got a DSP 750 behind the screen as a center channel. Works phenomenally well. Up here in this system, we've got 3 in-wall speakers and in-wall speakers for sides and rears, and in-wall speakers for the ceiling, or in-ceiling speakers, whatever.
Yeah.
Any speakers and in ceiling, if you put it in the ceiling. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, once it's there, it is in the ceiling.
It's just more Weetabix and both arms press. Yeah, 2-man job. And in the theatre upstairs, we've got large speakers in behind the screen, the DSP 8000 XEs. We've got DSP 9s for side channels.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Good scan. Beautiful matte.
Oh yeah, of course. We've got to look at the video as well,
Batman
right?
speakers.
We've got to make sure we're minimising reflections. And then we've got in-ceiling and in-wall speakers for the surround speakers. And you heard today our latest revision of the DSP 750. So that was the newest version of our 750, our reference in-wall, which has a new DSP, has a new platform that we took from the XE and the 9. So it's got that new electronics in there. It sounds bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, it did, because we sort of, before we sat down and started looking at some DCP content and sort of the final sort of like presentation thing, we all stood there with our backs to the screen, listening to these shiny new speakers.
In wall,
but in ceiling first.
Oh yeah,
the ones in ceiling, where it played the trick on me again, because you've done that before, where you started playing them and you're looking at the walls, going, "Oh, they sound good," and then you're like, "No, they're the ceiling ones."
Yeah.
But they did, and obviously again, you added the bass and you added the sub and subtracted the sub, and they just, I mean, okay. They're a hefty speaker. But a set of those either side of a big format TV or a big format Barco, was it Runar?
Yeah, the DCI LED wall.
Yeah, something like that with those around it. You're going to get some phenomenal sound. You don't necessarily need to sub.
No, I mean, that's the surprising thing with that new platform. It's new to me as well, right? They went in the wall last week. We knew they were going to be there, right? We've got an event on.
Yeah, of course they're going to be really served.
But I started playing them today, and I was way off axis. And one of the things we really pushed with on the revised version was it, and it's the same thing really we wanted with XE and 9, was to have a wider sweet spot. So we wanted to open up the dispersion, because you can get better coverage in a room without having to rely on such heavy toe angles, which adds depth overall. And I was way off axis, and I had got goosebumps. I showed you guys. I was like, "Oh wow, these things sound amazing!" Like I was basically in line with the left speaker, and I had so much of the right speaker information still just reaching where I was. And I thought, yeah, like these, well done, boys and girls. Like that's a great step forwards, because in a cinema application, side channels, front channels, left and right, we're going to have so much more cohesive bubble of sound around the room. But yeah, I mean, we use those in-wall speakers, pair of them either side of a TV, is an amazing system. Super discreet, future automation, wall bracket, all the electronics go on the back, TV on there, HDMI eARC, maybe a streamer, one at a Roon streamer, or works with Sonos streaming, which we can integrate as well. Pair of speakers, brilliant. Want to do an upgrade, daisy chain off a pair of in-wall subs, super discreet. It's only 100mm depth, not loads of boxes. Everything's made in Britain.
Yeah.
You put a future bracket in there as well, which is really cool. And you just get a really lovely system that looks fabulous, sounds fabulous, super easy to control. It doesn't need to be complicated. Don't stick surround sound where surround sound is not required.
Well, I think Simon's sitting behind me here, being nice and quiet. I I we had a conversation on the last pod we did before Christmas, and we were sort of saying about, I was talking to a client, and he came to me wanting a surround sound system. And the more I talked to him, the more I realised that he actually listens to music more than he does surround sound. So I sort of said to him, well, look, why don't you go 2-channel first, or 2.1 channel first? And if you really want to add the surrounds, add the surrounds. But actually, because I think more people are understanding that actually a TV with a good set of speakers either side of it will completely outperform sound-wise and everything-wise than
Experience-wise, yeah.
than a not cheap but a substandard surround sound system.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, a cinema system, go for it.
Yeah.
Let's put the channels in.
In a
Let's
room like
design the
this,
system. We've
definitely.
got guidelines for that. We all know what they are. Let's build a system to that specification. Let's go for it. If it's a living room,
Yeah.
where you live,
Yeah.
or a kitchen, or any of those places, you just want a TV and some tunes. Just put in some really nice tunes and make it look lovely. Make it really easy to use. Make it sound fabulous. It's brilliant. I mean, I don't have a cinema system at my house. I'm too poor, or I've invested
Too much
money
in cars.
poorly in cars. Yeah, it's same. Either way, I don't have enough money to buy a cinema, so I'm not going to have one. So I have all of my systems are 2-channel systems. I watched all of Stranger Things, of course, and all of Fallout. Actually, I'm up to date on the Fallout series on Amazon on a 65-inch telly with a pair of Meridian speakers. It sounds wicked. I know I'm biased because I sell it, but honestly, it sounds incredible. You get height, you get depth, you get width, you get sound out to the sides, really spacious sound. And I don't have the DSP9s because I'm poor. But if I did have the DSP9s, they'd be even better. I have 5200s in the living room, and they are absolutely fabulous. And then, as we talked about, you finish watching a few episodes of Stranger Things, you're pumped. And what's good about Stranger Things? It's got a banger of a soundtrack, absolutely wicked. So then you fire up Rune and you start playing music. You go, yeah, these sound wicked. So you just use the speakers for everything. And so I haven't even thought about TV audio in a million years because it's just a pair of speakers, right, on the back of it. The UHD 1-to-1 makes that even easier because you just press it, turn it on, and it works. But that is so much more satisfying. And the other thing is, you're less inclined to fiddle about with stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You set a system up for a client, especially if it's in a living room. They're like, "Oh, can I hear the rear channels? Is the sub loud enough?" And
I'm watching
there's
BBC
always
South East News, and I've got no surround sound channel.
yeah. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, it's just 2 speakers, but it's proper.
Yeah.
And they just melt and they disappear, and
Yeah.
you end up with a fabulous experience. You get hooked in straight away. When you listen to music, it properly sounds like you're listening to music. It's not fatiguing. It's really enjoyable to listen to, and that for me is what we should be delivering in a living room.
So when it comes to multi-channel sort of cinema rooms like this, you're generally, obviously, you're putting the speakers in. Obviously, Meridian do offer the design service if you are an integrator watching this.
Multiple CEDIA award-winning design service. Yep.
Nicely segued.
Clang.
Shoehorned in there.
Yeah.
So I remember I did one in Wimbledon, which was DSP 8000s. I think it's got 9000s now. DSP 8000s. They were the rears were M8s,
M6. Yeah.
M6s, and then the subs, and then we had the 4 in ceilings.
M6 is one of the very best surround speakers ever.
Yeah,
They're so good.
yeah.
The off-axis dispersion they have is incredible. Yeah.
And they all fed back into the multi.
271.
That's
yeah.
it, multi-channel controller, which then we paired with a Trinov Altitude 32. I think.
Oh, fine choice.
So that is a typical sort
Yeah.
of something that handles the processing, the image processing or the sound processing into the Meridian, out to the speakers. Done.
Yeah, exactly that. And
Nice and simple.
yeah, it is. And I think, Trinov's new Altitude CI is fabulous for us because twofold. Like if we're doing a Meridian system, we get a 2U processor, so it's more compact than the 16 and the 32. Space is always a premium. But that has up to 32 digital outputs. So that can go digital straight into another 2U 16 channel 271. So we're 4U for 16 channels, and we're 6U for 32 channels. Everything's can be 9624 high resolution digital audio. It's a really, really nice solution. If we're designing a system for a room that's using TPI speakers, then we use the Dante or AES67 output from the Altitude CI, and that can go straight into TPI's DSP. So for us, like that new Altitude CI platform, where we don't need DACs, because we're a digital loudspeaker company, or we're in the case of TPI, we're using their DSP. We'll see tomorrow when we pop up there. That's a really cool solution for us. It's a really, really great processor. Everyone knows the optimizer. You know, it's a great room optimizing process. So that's what surround systems look like for us now. Is a all digital system. Yeah.
So we mentioned there a couple of other brands. Obviously, we've mentioned Barco a few times. Obviously, we have distributed by Meridian, DBM. Tell us a little bit about DBM and the brands that you distribute.
Yeah, so when I joined in 2015, we really wanted to have a CI focus with Meridian, because that's where we could see custom installers work with high net worth individuals. They like nice things. We make nice things. We should make it easy for the CI channel to specify Meridian products and install Meridian products into the client's home. So one of the ways we thought that would make that process simpler is by creating the design and spec service. So we took the guidelines from CEDIA at the time and put those into our design packages. So Chris on our design team creates all of those. He's done hundreds of those. Like I mentioned, won a couple of awards for the integrators that use that service. But rather than say, oh yeah, hey, you need to pay for that, part of what we wanted to offer was to say, well, we'll do that design for you. Obviously, it benefits us because it's got our stuff in it. But we'll do that design for you. So it's done to spec, it's done to standard, it's done to guidelines. It utilizes the products, and then you go, well, I can't just do the audio, because you're going to say, what screen shall I use? Well, how big should it be? Well, we know those guidelines too, right? Because Meridian sold projection systems before,
Yes.
2005, 6 or 7. We used to do projection systems up to about 2012, something like that. So we already have pedigree of projection, and sound is half of a cinema. So we started saying, well, yeah, in that room size, you need this screen size. Why is that? Well, because of these viewing angles. Oh yeah, cool, that makes sense. What ratio should I use? Well, because of the ceiling height, you're going to use scope, and you're going to tell a client why we're using scope and what that means when they watch 178 content. Oh, okay. So what projector do I need? Well, it's not what brand you need, it's how much brightness you need, because it's just engineering. So then we started specifying projectors based on brightness versus screen size. And then we went, oh, those Barcos are good. They got loads of brightness. We can do big screens with that. Perfect. So we started to recommend Barco projection systems, and then had a meeting with Barco, and we said, we really like your projectors. They're dead good, they are. And we had a discussion, and they said, well, yeah, why didn't you start specifying them and supplying them into the UK as well? And we said, yeah, right, cool. That sounds like a great idea.
Let me think for a second.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm an audio video geek. Well, cars and then audio video, but can't get paid doing the car thing.
No.
So, yeah, I thought maybe the audio video thing's probably a better career choice for me. So, yeah, we started specifying those, and then obviously we started investing in calibration equipment, so spectrometers, training to make sure we've got the ability in-house to be able to offer calibration service, for example, so we can we can service all of the DCI machines, which have a 12-month service schedule, like a car.
Yeah.
Clean the filters, check calibration, check software, read files, realign DMDs. It's quite an involved process, and that's part of maintaining the warranty, so we can offer that service in-house. You can, of course, get Barco to do it, but we wanted to be able to do that in-house too. And yeah, so we started to sell Barco alongside Meridian, and then other people were like, oh, you distribute things? Yeah. All right, cool. Do you want to do this thing? Are you interested in that thing? And really it was, for me, like, yeah, if I can stand up in front of my customers and say, I would buy this with my own money.
I'd
I'm
put it in
just
my
too
own
poor.
home. Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
would buy this with my own money. Oh, and I understand it, and I can tell you about it. So they're two quite serious criteria for us. Because if it's a thing I don't understand and can't tell you about, I don't want to sell that because I don't understand it. I shouldn't get paid for something that I don't understand. And so we've kind of kept that ethos within DBM, where the products, we have to love them and want to buy them ourselves or covet them. We have to be able to explain them and they have to fit within the range as well. So there can be overlap, but it should be positive overlap. I don't want to offer 5 of the same things and you can just choose whether you want a Meridian one. And actually, when you look at the range from any objective or even just because it feels like it should be like that, that's how it's really developed itself. So we only sell Barco video products. So if you want a projector, they start at £14,500 retail. I don't have a £5,000 option.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm already only going to be able to offer something at this level. And really that fits in, you know, if you want to buy a single Meridian loudspeaker, it's £2,000.
Yeah.
Oh, you want stereo, both, it's £4,000 or it's 5,000.
It fits in with the, I feel that everything you do within DBM it complements the Meridian brand, and it not fills the spaces or fills the gaps, but it sort of like enhances the experience. So you will build a cinema with Meridian speakers, it will sound phenomenal. You put that through Trinoff ProSynth, it sounds great. You put that through a Barco projector, then all of a sudden you've got stunning visuals like we've got in this room.
And it's logical.
Yeah.
If you had a £2,000 multi-channel speaker system, you wouldn't put a 10, 15, £30,000 processor on the front end. Doesn't make any sense. If you put in a £50,000, £60,000 loudspeaker system, why would you put a £1,000 AVR on the front of it? It doesn't make any sense. So it's about fitting together. And then when you do that, you end up putting 50% of the budget, ish, give or take, into audio and audio processing, so speakers, amplifiers or active loudspeakers, processors, and then you put the other half of the budget in the screen, the porthole, the projector, and the video processor. Then you have a balanced system that hits the recommended targets for brightness, sound pressure, viewing angle, all of those things. And so the system's very balanced. You know, it's not about having a mega audio and meh video or mega video and meh audio. They're both brilliant. And if you spend more, they're more brilliant.
Well, and I think the thing is, you have a lot of people, and I've had customers who've come to me and they've seen a set of speakers, like these speakers maybe £15,000, and you go, they say, oh, I want to pay. What are you driving them with? Oh, I haven't got anything. I need something to drive them with. Okay, well, we probably need to spend about another 15,000 on that. What? So generally, if you're buying a set of speakers for 15,000, you need 15,000 worth of amplification.
You're going to run it off a port.
Yeah. So actually, you know, when you look at the Meridian offering, because you've got everything in one cabinet, literally, it does make it more palatable and easier to install, and doesn't take up your life with 48 U's worth of power amps.
Yeah, it's all very compact. Most of our systems, if it's just 2 speakers, it's just going to be half rack width, 1 U, and maybe an HDMI thing behind the TV. It's really simple. All robust digital connections. Yeah, and if you know, there's maths, right? If you've got a 15-grand pair of speakers or whatever it is, if it's passive loudspeaker, look on the back. What's the efficiency rating? What's the power handling? Well, you need a power amp that will allow you to hit your SPL target based on those 2 numbers.
Yeah.
So no matter which one you quite like the look of, it needs to be this many watts if you want to hit this level of
These
performance.
figures mean something. They're not
they're not just random numbers.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're a digital active or a DSP loudspeaker manufacturer, but you know, TPI isn't a DSP manufacturer. They have an off-board DSP, they have a power amp, they have a passive loudspeaker. They're all partnered to match the efficiency, to match the power handling, to match what we're trying to achieve. So the other thing is that we want engineering numbers with these products. We want to know how if it's an active speaker, what's max SPL 1 meter? Is that like full bandwidth, or is that a burst? Let's have that information. If it's projector, how bright is it? No, how bright is it really?
Yeah.
Show me.
Yeah.
What contrast is it? If it's more than 5 digits, I'm not interested. I want to know anti-contrast, give me a checkerboard. What's the color palette? How broad a color space can it render? Okay, cool. What aspect ratio is it? Oh, it's native CinemaScope. Perfect. We're selling a scope screen. We should sell CinemaScope projector. So we need to know these things, these building blocks, to make sure that they all fit together. And it just becomes logical, because then you're not saying to someone, I think you've got lots of money, therefore you should buy a lots of money system. You've looked at your room, and based upon that, the maths, the engineering, the science has told us the minimum spec of system we could put in this room is this. That will deliver these things. If you wanted to have better levels of performance, greater immersion, this is where we're at. And if you wanted the best system that we can possibly think of for this room, this is what we would deliver. Now, we have our own name for that. You call it standard, performance and reference. That's just an internal naming for us to give differentiation. Maybe now there would be, and we do classify them, that would be a 1 on an RP22. This is a 2, this is a 3, this will get you some seats as a 4, for example. So those are the types of guidelines, but we use and have done for a long time, standard, performance, reference. They're not ultimate names, they're just what we use internally as a way of, saying this is where we want to be.
Well, I think whenever we speak to a client, and I know every HCA member is the same, it's like, those initial questions are, what size is the room? How many people do you want to sit in the room? It's not about necessarily your budget, it's about what fits the space. Then we'll talk about what your budget is and what fits the budget, and we'll find that nice ground.
Yeah.
But it's about what works in that room to build a proper cinema system, and what falls within your budget, Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, don't sell that Atmos dream if the client doesn't have the funds to have 4 really nice overhead speakers. Just give them 5 really good bed channels and a really nice sub or 2.
And as we always say, it's cabling doesn't cost nothing, but cabling's cheap. So you can wire for a full-blown Meridian system, you can wire for a full-blown any system, and then you can add and upgrade over time, and actually initially invest the money in something that you're going to use, like buy those,
the LCRs,
and
that's going to make the big difference, right?
Yeah.
Dialogue, impact, all of those things, musicality, all of those things. We're going to want to have something that sounds great. It's going to be behind the screen, so put some good ones in there. Pre-wire for Atmos channels, pre-wire for some extra subwoofer locations, pre-wire for front widths, pre-wire for all of those things. But ultimately deliver something that makes you smile, gets you excited, and then add more channels if that's a thing. Saying I can get you a cheaper one, well, why didn't you tell me that in the first place? Oh, because it's not very good. Well, I don't want that. It's really hard to say to someone, just have the cheaper one, it's fine, when they've seen something that's really good. So don't make it cheaper by putting in a lower cost thing. Make it cost less money by putting in fewer things and provision for them later. A really good 5.1 system is phenomenal. No one will be unhappy with that. A system that's got really good spatial resolution, a really good 2-channel system is brilliant. That gives you depth, width, height if it's set up properly. So of course a 5-channel system can be amazing. Of course we can add more speakers in a year, 18 months when you got some more budget. That's the way I would do it. And just that's what you're delivering. It makes more sense. You're spending the money where it's appropriate. You're going to have something that's great straight away and can be amazing later on.
Some people may be watching this going, I know that name Meridian, all this new information I've got. You also do a lot of licensing of your products. I mean, one of the big automotive ones is with Jaguar Land Rover. I always struggle with that, Jaguar Land Rover. So a few people watching this might have a Range Rover or a Land Rover Defender, which they open the door and they've got the Meridian badge in it. Tell us a little bit about the licensing that you are involved in and why Meridian are involved in it.
Yeah, so we operate a licensing and consultancy business. We've got some amazing engineers spread across software and hardware with lots of experience, many years of experience, and that's experience you can't buy necessarily because it's not one person that knows everything. The knowledge is spread across very different areas of the business. We have a dedicated research and development team that do things like high power array, the base and space stuff we saw in the Ellipse, which just makes people go, how does it do that?
That is a phenomenal little speaker for
bonkers.
For what is an in-room
Tiny.
single speaker. When you
Yep.
sit, I mean, I sat here earlier, listened to it, and the spatial awareness of this speaker is phenomenal.
That's what really good audio engineers and DSP and research students can do. And those research students work within the research team. You know, we've put them through their dissertations, they're coming to work for us. So that information is super valuable. You can't shortcut that. It's really hard to. So what happens is we work with larger OEMs who come to us and say, hey, we've got this new vehicle. We want a really good sound system in here. And then that starts the question, what's good?
Yeah.
Let me show you. You know, we've got a 32 speaker iPace that we've kitted out with additional channels and technologies that we go, well, we've got all these things that we can offer you. What are you interested in? Blimey, didn't know you could have that. And so the technologies allow you to show what's possible with lighter components, you know, thinking about EVs, but it doesn't really matter. All cars want to be lighter because then they go faster, they stop better, they use less fuel or electric, whichever way it is. So using technologies about being smart about how we're delivering that impactful bass, that immersive sound, is really, really interesting to these OEMs, and that they want Meridian technology in their vehicles. So, you know, a lot of our business is helping these guys elevate the experience for their customers. And we're proud of what we do. So yeah, it's got a Meridian badge on the grille. Of course it has. It's a Meridian product. You know, a Range Rover system sounds like a Meridian system. Doesn't matter what drive units it uses, doesn't matter what amplifier it uses, doesn't matter that they're in a door instead of in a speaker. It's a Meridian system and it sounds like a Meridian system.
You want that synergy between the client listening to that Meridian system in their house, or maybe having the Range Rover first, then buying the Meridian system, or having the Meridian and then buying the Range. You want them to have that same, because it's got your badge on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not selling a badge, we're selling an experience, and we're selling something that we can be proud of in that space. It doesn't matter what that space is. If it ticks the boxes for our level of performance, then absolutely, we would be interested in having that discussion. There's very few end users and clients that I directly know or contact, because we're a B2B business as Meridian and as DBM. But sometimes when you do demonstrations with clients, you get to meet them and know them and otherwise. And one client, it's not hard to work out my email address, right? If you know my name and you put a dot in the middle and then put Meridian at the end, oh look, an email goes through.
Well, you had a phone call when we were waiting to do this from someone up north.
Yeah.
And I heard you were having a conversation, what you want, I'll put you in touch with the local dealer up there.
Those guys. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, my mobile number's on the DBM website. How else would dealers that don't know me find it? But sometimes clients phone. Cool. But I got an email from a client who said, hey, I just wanted to tell you, he loves what we do. Like, I can't tell you how much he loves what we do. I can. It's everywhere.
Fanboy.
If he has a property, it has Meridian in it, right?
Really?
And when I say Meridian in it, it's dripping with Meridian. Like he really likes it. And he said to me, oh, hey, I just wanted to say, I left my house in London. I got in my Range Rover. I drove to Heathrow Airport. I got on the aeroplane. I went in the first class cabin. I put Meridian headset on. I landed in LA. I got out of the plane. I got in a Range Rover. I drove to my house in LA. I had Meridian. He's like, I had Meridian door to door, and that was the most awesome thing. Thank you so much. And I was like, how cool is that? You know, like he's not only, you know, seen the brand when he was on a BA flight, when he was in his Range Rover, but he's the ultimate arbiter of quality, right? He's put his money where his mouth is. He's bought Meridian, many Meridian systems over many years. And he said, that's a Meridian system in my Range Rover. This is a Meridian pair of headphones I'm listening to. And that's really what it's about. It got even better, because then he said, I'm building a house in Ibiza.
I need a Range Rover and a Meridian system in my
yeah,
house.
of course, right? I'm going to need some more stuff. So then, you know, we started talking to the distributor over there, and long story short, he's got 8,000s in his kitchen.
In his kitchen?
Yeah, XEs as well. Yeah.
Jesus.
The guy is a legend.
Yeah.
He's a really nice chap, and he's got exquisite taste, obviously. He's also got 8,000s in a cinema there as well. It's a fabulous system, and he loves it.
I think I took a little bit of B-roll of the shelf you've got out there, and on there you've got the British Airways headphones along with some others, and on top of it you've got engineered by Meridian, is it, on top of it?
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
right. Yeah,
so the client knows that they're picking up
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and they've been, they're not just a badge slapped on top of
No,
it as an advertisement. They are
it's
actually
Meridian. It's Meridian.
a
Yeah,
Meridian sounding product.
yeah. Wherever we have the brand, then it has to deliver the promise of performance. So we're on British Airways, we're on United Airlines, we're on Japanese Airlines. We just went into the Mastercraft boats,
Yeah.
which it
That was
no, I mean, it's like, what does the client need?
yeah,
Client needs to be not on the boat.
yeah.
Oh, where are they? They're water skiing out the back, and the boat's hooning along at 25, 30 miles an hour. All right, cool. Where are the speakers? Well, they're on the boat.
Yeah.
So they need to be loud then. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, that's what the challenge is. Deliver me exceptional stereo audio whilst I'm whilst I'm skiing on the back of the boat. Okay, cool. Let's go.
And I think you look at that through the whole Meridian range, from the clips there to the bookshelves to the cinema speakers. It is that delivering me exceptional audio quality, whatever my scenario is, and then when it comes to cinema, can you also supply me the exceptional image quality, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and that's exactly that. I mean, like I say, I'm an unashamed video geek. I know as much, or I love video as much as I love audio. I couldn't say for sure. And cinema is the best of both those things, So being able to offer integrators who we've worked with over many years and over many projects, and they know that they can rely upon us to choose the right products for the installation and also support it as well, right? I had a phone call earlier today from a system that went in 2003.
Wow.
And the integrator said, I don't know much about it, but wants to do a new control system upgrade, and what should we do? And I said, does it work? And he goes, it sounds wicked, mate. That's the first thing he said, and you're like, well, yeah, it should do, yeah. And that's a system that's 23 years old, and it's still working and it still sounds fabulous. So that handcrafted, built mentality, that made in Britain mentality, means that the robustness, the reliability, we put a 5-year warranty on all of our products as well. We're really proud of what we do, and it does, it is good, it does last. And the licensing and consultancy side of the business is just doing more of that for more people. So more people around the world globally will know or have a good experience of the Meridian brand in various different ways now. And so when integrators say, oh, we like using Meridian in our systems, the client is more likely to go, oh yeah, I know those guys. Not who? And that's big, it's half the battle, is not having to explain, because most of the brands that we sell, right, in specialist audio, in custom, whatever you want to call it, they're like, who? It's not Bose, it's not Coca-Cola. You know what I mean? It's not a brand name. It's not Aston. It's not Bentley. It's not a brand name that they've seen or known. They're like, who's that? What do they do? And so this is becoming a bigger secret, as in more well-known secret. And most people go, yeah, if I've heard it, yeah, that's good. That stuff. That's good.
And I've had it. I've had people go to me, oh yeah, he's got a Meridian system in it. My brother bought a Discovery, I think it was, his last car, and that had Meridian system in it. And he was, okay, he knows what he's talking about. Not as much as me, obviously, but he would be like, oh yeah, it's got a Meridian system in it. So obviously you're a global company. You obviously have distribution in majority of countries across the world. On Meridian's website, it will show you your local distribution or in that country. In the UK, obviously, go to Homestead Online Alliance's website first, obviously, please.
Of course, first port of call, surely.
But obviously, go to DBM's website where you have a dealer locator on there. The facilities here is obviously open to integrators and people like that, but it's obviously open to end clients as well to come and have a look at through a distributor.
Through an integrator,
Through an integrator.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone who wants to come here, we've got this room here, we've got the big room upstairs, or the bigger room. It's different, isn't it?
It's different, yeah. We've got so we've got two cinemas, one with an in-room system, one with an in-wall system. 2 or 3 different barcode projectors depending on what we're doing at any given time.
Yeah.
So you've got the ability to see from like 15 grand up to 110k, you know, systems here. So yeah, we can host demos there. We've got various spaces to listen to music in, which is really key.
So is that the little room with the very 1990s
Yes, we've got the engineering
fitted in
listening
there?
room. Yeah,
That was phenomenal. Anybody who
yeah.
ever comes here and is just here for cinema, if you
got to have
don't
this.
already take them in there,
Yeah.
go in there because it's phenomenal.
If we're not doing any NDA stuff,
Yeah.
then we absolutely do, because it's just such a wicked experience in there. Reception's always good fun because it looks like a really acoustically challenging space.
Yeah.
Hard marble floor, glass, tall ceilings. Yeah, the speakers really get to party in there. So yeah, those experiences, those demos are really key. But also we'll bring stuff to you, right? We'll just jump in the car, drive it over, do a demo. Projector, speakers, garden speakers, whatever you need. You know, we can absolutely bring that to your client. Do a demo in their garden. Bring in a different projector to tempt them to upgrade. You know, once they've seen what's possible with something like a Heimdall or an i600, it's really hard to go, no, I'm very happy with my very dim, aged 1080.
So especially because they're so used to it in their own home.
Yeah.
To do like we've done with a couple of the projectors here, to sort of rig them up at the back of the room, and you can flip between the two.
Yeah.
And just see the difference between those. And actually, you know, the what you get for your money with the Barco, a lot of people perceive Barco as being 100,000 plus, and it's not.
No.
You know, it can be, but it can be a lot more.
I mean, preferably.
Preferably. Obviously, we all work on commissions. But actually, you know, the sub 20,000 pound projector, it's brilliant. A phenomenal piece of equipment.
Brilliant. I mean, you know, 8,000 lumens, all glass optics, bunch of lenses. It's mega. You know. Yeah. Again, would I buy one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've wasted my money on other things. One day maybe I would, but yeah, it's phenomenal, and that's the same, you know, with everything that we sell. If it's correctly specified, everything that we give you will be brilliant. It doesn't matter whether that's outside, whether your room is 15, 20 meters in depth, or whether it's 3 or 4 meters in size. We'll have a solution for you, and we'll just engineer and design a system that works in that space.
It goes back to what we said just a minute ago. It's the design. This is what I got. This is what I want.
Yeah.
What works.
Yeah.
You know, before we even talk about, you know, kit list or prices or anything like that.
100%. Yeah. We don't want to see. We won't just say, oh yeah, thanks for the order.
Yeah.
Ship out the door. We're like, oh yeah, cool, nice one. What's that for? Yeah. Oh, okay. No, I actually don't think that's going to be appropriate. So we've turned down orders, and we've refused to let someone buy a more expensive component if we don't think it's suitable. You know, it's about getting the right solution, and we want to be sure that what's being delivered is something that's going to be exceptional. And if there's a compromise because they want the better one, aka the more expensive one, well, if that's going to impact negatively, maybe it's a projection system and it's going to need to be in a separate booth. I haven't got room for that. I'll just have it in the room. No, you won't. It's too noisy. It's not going to happen. So we'd rather make sure that we've got the right system, and we've got the right performance. And that's where, you know, distribution comes in. Meridian can't make every system for every room.
Yeah.
It absolutely can't do outdoor. This is active. It's got 230 volts in it. So, like, absolutely we can't do that. Oh, you want to do a nightclub? Cool. These aren't PA. These aren't high output loudspeakers. They're residential speakers. Don't worry, we've got exactly what you need. If you want to have a 1,500 person nightclub in your basement, no problem. We've got you covered. We can do that. You'll see that tomorrow. That's where distribution is powerful, because it just means that we can offer the right thing over more project use cases.
Excellent. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else you want to add to the end of this podcast, or have you pretty much covered everything you wanted to cover?
I mean, you know, thank you for everyone that supported us over the years. We really appreciate it. Yeah, and thanks for putting your trust in us. Thanks for continuing to do so. Please do get in touch if you want to do a demo for a client at their place, at your place, whatever, in their garden, in their cinema, in their living room. We've got the products. We can arrange that. If you'd like to see any of this stuff, if you've been, oh yeah, I've been meaning to get up to there, we'll do.
Barry will drive to Ibiza. and show you
Yeah.
a setup in Ibiza if you really need him to. He will have to be there for the whole week,
It's 2 weeks minimum stay.
and mainly
Yeah,
round about
visas.
June, July,
Yeah.
August era.
Well,
Yeah.
not with these freckles.
Yeah, Huntingdon isn't the sunniest place in
No,
Europe.
no.
Awesome, mate. Well, look, thank you very much for your time. As I say, we're off to go and see some more lovely facilities tomorrow.
Right,
but
yeah.
thanks for your time, and thanks for today.
Thank you very much. See you soon.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks.